Hello everyone. We have begun. I see Johannes is here. Welcome. Got several other people there. We got some likes even already. We're going to be feeding some frogs soon here. Live. Haven't done that for quite a while on the channel, so looking forward to that. I see Stephen Sager is here. Welcome. And Warren is here. Excellent. Welcome to you as well. Trying a different feeding technique this time, which I will explain in just a moment here. Critters and more, hello. Hoping to see some of your morning geckos in this video. Some of the morning geckos you sent me. What I have here is a feeding release container. It's got holes drilled into it, and I'm hoping that we can watch the timed release of the fruit flies. There are both Heidi and melanogaster in there, and watch the both the dart frogs and the morning geckos do their thing. See that Green Jedi Monkey's here, Bry, Monica Jackson, Wendy Hickson, Hobby Strange Pets, Tess T, Spotas and Potas. First time watching the live, awesome. Reptive Feeders, Frosty Inverts. Greetings everyone. We've already got 7 likes, 24 people, 8 likes and 24 people in here. Excellent. It might be a minute before we get them going, but Critters and more, upgrading my misting nozzles, but my morning gecko has 4 eggs in the current nozzle. Ah, well, you got to wait a little while, I guess, to deal with that, huh? They do enjoy laying eggs in weird places, don't they? And Squats and Scones done that for the Terribilis one on going on vacation. Excellent. So I've got a trio, 1 male and 2 females in this enclosure. Hopefully we'll see some activity. So far I haven't seen any flies exiting the container. I might have to replace, move it around a little bit, and we'll see how it goes, but pretty excited. Forest of Emeralds, welcome. Glad you're able to make a live. I think one thing, I just wiped condensation off the glass right before this, which was kind of dumb. My timing was a little different this time because I just got back from doing some animal outreach, and I still have containers of critters here. I brought them into the house, of course. I'm going to need to put them away after the stream, but I'm just kind of pressed for time, so I'm working with what I've got. Pitts fam, hello. Oh, I see a gecko. A gecko is approaching. This is probably one of the geckos from Critters and More. There are 3 morning geckos in here so far. You'll see the gecko in just a minute. 1 of mine and then 2 from Critters and More, both a yellow belly and then one with a different pattern from the ones that I have. So the outreach was great. I had 2 different groups. One was a group of children 5 to 9, and the other group later in the day was a group of like early 20s, beginning college sort of age group, and it was really cool. With the children's group, it was a lot of enthusiasm. There were, of course, some kids who weren't as focused and respectful as they could have been, but most of them were really into it. Most of them had a lot of fun, and most of them were very good about asking questions, raising their hand, and paying attention, doing what they needed to do, and it was great. It was a pretty big group of kids. And then the other one, as you might expect, they're more, a little bit more mature. They did really, really well and enjoyed it, and a lot of people who had been squeamish about reptiles became less squeamish about reptiles. So that was cool. I did a lot of inverts and reptiles, what I focused on this time. You can see a morning gecko just above the feeding container there. Hopefully some of the flies are going to make their way out so it doesn't bunk its head right against the plastic. I've got holes drilled in the top and the sides. So Arthropod Ambassadors, I do outreach at various places. This time, the 2 groups, one was a group affiliated with the youth summer camps for the University of Utah, which is near me, and then the other one was a group of international students from the same university. So it was very cool. Oh, random tea. That's awesome. Oh, the flies are coming, and we just had our first feeding there. You can see the morning gecko. Did everybody see the morning gecko grab that fly? Hopefully this means more things are interesting, more interesting things are to come. Glad you got this friend of your roommate interested in isopods. That's awesome. So Stephen, what is the animal you bring that people seem most interested in? Good question. I feel like I sort of organize it so that people become... I start out with some small but unusual things. Like I think I started out in the afternoon one with a blue death fainting beetle. In the morning when I started with springtails. And then I gradually worked my way up. Not exactly, always from small to large, but over time I make them, they generally get bigger. And I ended with the corn snake this time, and that was a big hit. With the second presentation, the first presentation was only arthropods, and I ended with the tailless whip scorpion, I think, which is always a big hit as well. So those are some that were really big hits, and some other ones were the baby garter. I brought one of the baby garters for the reptile one. I brought my dead leaf mantis was a big hit. Oh, we got a frog trying to go through the plastic here. I feel bad for him. Is that that's one of my girls? Yeah. What I'm going to do is dump some flies directly in too, so that she doesn't have to suffer the indignity of trying to eat through plastic and being foiled every single time. So I'm going to sprinkle some flies and maybe she'll catch some of those. Pay attention to the flies. There you go. Yeah, there she goes. Funny thing. Oh, it looks like we got a super chat. Let me see who sent that. It looks like Dope Critters can't stick around. We'll watch later. Just here to show love. Well, I appreciate that, Dope Critters. Thanks for the super chat, and thanks for popping in. And I hope whatever you're doing goes well. Now we can see all 3 dart frogs plus one of the morning geckos. Pretty sweet deal. And you're welcome, Forest of Emeralds. Thanks for coming in and watching. And hubby's going to watch on the TV. Okay. So arthropod ambassadors, have you ever done any successful crafts with kids? I've done that kind of stuff with outreach. It's been a while. When I worked for Zoo, I did that, like the crafts kind of stuff with the outreach. It's really been too long for me to even think of what I had done much specifically. I remember doing something with a fish craft we did with palettes that was kind of cool because they were attaching fish scales to the thing. That's about the only one I really remember. I love the kaleidoscope bug eyes. Bubble wrap beehives, awesome. Those are some great ideas. I'm trying to remember what else I have done. If I can think of anything cool that I did, I'll let you know. Brandon Scott. So Brandon Scott, how do you break into outreach? Well, in my case, most of it has been, I don't know, when did I start? I guess I started doing outreach a long time because, to be honest, when I first started doing animal outreach, I was like a teenager. But there have been times when I've done it less often and so on. And, I haven't just done it at a steady rate since then. Times when I took years off and whatnot. But a lot of times it has to do with contacting people and just saying, hey, I do this, and what do you think about it? And sometimes I've done it for, just like community service. Just other times I've done it for pay and, different things. But yeah, it turns out to be pretty cool. So if you can offer to start out doing it just as a service, and then sometimes the word will spread that you do it, and depending on, if you offer it as a service to a place like a school or a library, and then people know that you do it and you develop kind of a reputation for it, then you can go to other venues and get paid gigs, so to speak. Warren, yes, I hope you are staying cool. It's getting to be a warm day here too. Oh, you got some cool species there, Brandon, though. Pet time, getting some blue death fainting beetles. Awesome. 100 degrees, yeah. Pretty warm. We haven't hit 100 yet. It's fairly likely we will. We sometimes here get up to, what, 107 or so, but it doesn't always get that hot every year, but sometimes it does. But we haven't hit 100 yet. I think, what is it now? I don't even know. Oh, where we are, it's not even near that today. Today's been fairly cool. I can see a little bit of gunk on the glass. The condensation starting to show up again, and you can see the flies on the glass, but at least they're doing their thing. They're eating, and I see 2 morning geckos, as well as all 3 frogs. So, arthropod ambassadors, is this frog tank pretty loud? Not really. You can hear the male call when he does. It's just sort of a trill, like a kind of sound, but it's not super loud. It's not terrible. I wouldn't be too surprised if one of them did it while we're here. The male did that right before this live stream started. The one that's the male is the one on the left that just is hopping towards the left and near a morning gecko that's going off screen to eat a fruit fly. Yeah, that's the male. Oh, without AC, Warren? That is awful. My soul goes out to you. That's terrible. Frogs are, well, thank you. They are kind of gorgeous frogs, aren't they? Got them quite a while ago. It's probably been 5 or 6 years. I don't know exactly. Been a good while. They've produced some babies for me. I haven't been seriously attempting to breed them very often, but I have produced froglets from them a couple times. Just, they were, I think I did 3 froglets one time and then another froglet another time. So they've produced 4 for me that when I find the tadpoles, I pull them and try to raise them. And every tadpole I've pulled, I have raised successfully. I just haven't pulled very many tadpoles because breeding them is not that much of a focus for me. So I haven't actively been trying very often. Once in a while, I'll put a little dish in there and see if I can get them going. But I'm not focused on raising dart frog tadpoles, so I've just done it for fun a couple times. Test T started first mealworm culture a few weeks ago, already pupating. Excited to see them as beetles. Awesome. Make sure the larvae can't get at the beetles and make sure the beetles can't get the pupae. I mean, the larvae and the pupae can't. Larvae and the beetles don't get at the pupae. If they get too thirsty, if you want to make sure they're they're well hydrated and well fed, they're not going to do it as much. But if they get a little thirsty, they will go after those. So you probably already know that. Just word to the wise and hope that goes well. And thank you, arthropod ambassadors and Green Jedi Monkey. The trill, I've been practicing that for a long time. I can do a cricket version of it, a couple different crickets, in fact. Here's one. One of my cricket impressions. I hope you do breed the pet time. I hope you breed the blue death finning beetles. Super cool. Theropod hunters in the house as well. Should we get a little closer in on the frog, see if that works? I don't see a ton of flies crawling out of this makeshift attempt at fruit fly slow release. It does seem to be attracting them, but they're not getting a ton out of it because I don't think enough flies are climbing out. Which is funny. I see a bunch of flies on the side when I look at it from the side. There's too much glare to see that. And cool, if you've got other bins to go with Tess, you're going to be fine then. That's awesome. I'm going to add a few more flies here. Maybe if I drop them on the top and they'll just kind of fall off. What do you think? We'll get some eating them. So we did see at least one of those geckos, Critters and More, if you're still here. That was, one of those geckos was yours because 2 out of the 3 came from you. Oh, well, Brandon, I want to hear your cicada now. 2 18-liter containers for my isopods. Let's see, 18 liters. What does that convert to? 18 liters. A liter is close to 18 liter. I'm just searching that up in quarts, so I get an idea. Oh, okay, about 4.5 gallons, so close to a 6-quart container. And Warren, I will be sending you a shipping notice today because they shipped out earlier this morning, and I'm just, with all the animal presentations and whatnot today, I did not have a chance to send out shipping notices yet, but I will get on that and make sure you get those so you know what to expect. Yeah, they seem to be doing really well, Braden, and I'm excited. I see one now. Looks like it's licking something off its toes. I don't think it's in the camera shot. It's on a bromeliad up near the top of the enclosure. Brandon screams at the computer for us. Yeah, we have here we have Putnam's cicada, which doesn't make a super loud noise. It makes sort of a repeated click noise that I've heard. I haven't heard them scream. I know I've seen the other kind here in the state as well, but especially down south. But we don't really have as many, and I've heard the screaming cicadas here too, but not as many. But the Putnam cicadas hatched in fairly large numbers this year up in the mountains, so much that they were they're in our trees in our backyard, which is not normal. We usually don't get cicadas that close. And Theropod Hunter, great to hear about the local expo. I heard it was going to close, but it sounds like they're just moving it, so that's often. Skylar, starting a zoology degree in September. That's fantastic. Brandon Key, hello. And oh, the annual ones are much easier to mimic. Okay. Oh, reticulated pythons are awesome. Someday, I want a super dwarf reticulated python, and I think my wife does too, which is awesome. She likes snakes a lot, and she likes big snakes a lot, and maybe that would be one we could actually get at some point. I don't have the space for it or anything right now, but someday that would be super cool. Okay, to be honest, I think this fly distributor that I created needs work, and I'm not going to depend on it. I'm just going to sprinkle flies occasionally here out of that. And what do you think about, I'm going to try putting this right over the edge of the enclosure, and then maybe we can look into it. What do you think? I'm just going to slowly raise it and tip it over the edge of the enclosure if I can get that to work. I'm going to try it. I don't know if that'll work or not, but we'll see what we can get. I'll have to fine tune that a bit. Sorry about the noise. See if we can get some critter action there. See them doing their thing. Cut open a little slit so the flies can crawl out. See, that maybe was my deal. I don't know if you can see this. I drilled holes in the top and I drilled holes along the sides. Maybe I need to cut more of a slit. How wide is the slit that you do, Cassie? Because these holes, well, one just crawled out. It's not nothing, I guess, but it hasn't been ideal. So tell me a little bit more about the slit that you do, because maybe that'll work better for me. I'm going to try setting that like that and just see what I get. I might as well. 1/4 inch along the edge. Okay. I'll give that a shot. I want to try it out. I might as well give you a little tour of the enclosure while we're waiting for the frogs to calm down, because I just moved things and they hate that. It scares them. And we can look at the different plants that I've got in here and whatnot for a minute, if you want. Got a lot of oak leaf fig growing up here on the left side. And I'm going to actually shut it for the moment so that we don't have escaping critters. Got some live sphagnum moss growing over there a little bit. I don't know if you can really see it where it is. And then a bunch of bromeliads. There's some of the live sphagnum that's growing. A bunch of bromeliad, Neoregelia bromeliads. some hare's foot fern. There's a little frond of hare's foot fern coming through there. There's another one. More bromeliads, some rabbit's foot fern all along the top here. I need to take a trim back, and some more of the other rabbit's foot fern down here, and some more sphagnum spread around. Got a little bit of lemon button fern in there too. I don't know if you saw any of that. There's a little bit in there. And just, of course, a bunch of leaf litter out here. Looks like they're coming back. So maybe I can just kind of watch them, track them. But we're getting condensation and fly dust on the glass, which is not ideal. Okay, Cassie, so that makes a lot of sense. Just how fast you want them to leave the cup. Okay. I'm going to play with that a little bit because I think I kind of failed with this particular iteration. There's one of the morning geckos from, I think that's one of the ones from Braden right there. Looks like it's coming back for another helping of fruit flies. So Taylor Rana Ruby says, I'm currently using a 6-quart tub for my dairy cows, but they are hiding under the cork bark on the dry side. Do I need to cover the tub so they don't feel exposed? I would cover the tub, and it might have something to do with the humidity as well as the feeling of exposure. I think covering the tub would be wise, and just adding a little ventilation. Chinese money plant there, but Hunter, is that the Pachira aquatica? Or where'd the gecko go? Took off. I wasn't looking. I was looking at the chat and then it was gone. See, it's cool when this sphagnum grows. I like that. See some fruit flies climbing around. But I scared everybody, didn't I? Guess I better seal it back up. And that makes sense too, Cassie. Put too many flies in there and they'll smother. Yes. I'll have to keep an eye on how many I put in there. I don't want to overdo it. So good advice there. Almost unreal how fast money plants can grow. So which one is that? Is that the Pachira aquatica? Because you get so many common names for things. That's what I'm guessing you're talking about. Pachira aquatica is often known as money plant. It's like the tree sort of thing with the umbrella planty sort of leaves. So Forest of Emeralds is asking about giving morning geckos too much calcium. Sometimes right before my girls lay, their cheeks get so full it covers a concerning amount of the throat. Should I be worried? Well, this is my thought on this matter, and I think you'll get different ideas, and that's okay. But I think that if after they lay the sacs are basically emptied or depleted, then you're probably okay. If the sacs are not depleted after they lay, then I would start to worry about it. Those endolymphatic sacs, I mean, it makes sense they're going to vary somewhat from during the cycle when they're calcifying their eggs and whatnot. But if you find that they're not going through a cycle and they're just stuck, that could be an issue. Kevin Zay, hello. You've got someone coming your way. Well, you've got a couple of someone's coming your way. In FedEx, as you probably know, you probably got the notification today. So Kevin Zay is one of the folks who ordered some garter snakes, some red-sideds from my trio, and they shipped out today. So very excited about that. I do have some more snakes left. Those of you who might be interested, I've got a couple of females and quite a few males because it was a male-heavy clutter. So if you're interested in snakes, I think we have like somewhere between 15 and 18. I'll have to check the numbers. And almost all of those are males. So if you want like a pair or trio of males just as pets and you're not interested in breeding, that could be a good thing. The males do really well and they're smaller, so you can put them in smaller enclosures. No pressure, of course, but if you're interested, let me know. I think everybody on the waiting list and the standby list has been contacted more than once, and people who have paid have already had a snake or more snakes, more than one snake shipped to them today. But that's the first wave, and I'm happy to do more. And with Ship Your Reptiles, even when the weather is pretty warm, you can usually ship quite safely because I ship to the hub. So they come pick it up to my house, put it in a climate-controlled vehicle immediately, and then it goes from climate-controlled vehicle to climate control the entire time until it gets to the hub, and the hub is climate-controlled, and the customer basically comes and picks it up directly at the hub and can go straight home with it. And so warm weather is not that big of a deal unless it gets super, super hot. So over 100 degrees, we need to think about things, but under that, we're usually safe. So, okay. Chinese money plant is the one with rubbery circular leaves. Oh, it's a Pilea. Pilea peperominoides. I think I know that plant. I just don't think I know it by the same. I know Pileas pretty well. I've had several Pilea species. I don't think I've kept that one, but I'll have to look it up. Okay, yeah, I've seen that one. That's a cool one, but I've never grown it. I think I want to try though. It looks kind of like a fun plant to do in Vivaria. There's what is that? That's my male. There's my male dart frog right there. Oh, Kevin, you also got an adult female western terrestrial garter on the way. Got a question for you with the western terrestrial garters. Except as a kid, when I caught some and didn't know what I was doing, I haven't really tried to keep that species. So I know people who do, but I've heard, but I've not witnessed, that they will sometimes constrict their prey. And one of the few garters that will do that. So if you ever see any kind of constriction behavior when you feed your western terrestrial garters, I would be interested in knowing about it. And Random T is talking about Dracaena sanderiana. Okay. I know Dracaena, the genus in general, but I don't know, maybe I do know the one you're talking about. I just may know it by a different name. Let me see. Dracaena sanderiana. Okay, yeah, I do know that one. I've usually just heard it called lucky bamboo, even though it's not really a bamboo. That's the common name I've heard it used for. I think that's what's going on. Okay, I get it now. Cool. There's one of our frogs here again, going for it. See if we can catch some more of those flies. I'm going to dump some more flies down here. At least, if nothing else, it's attracting the frogs to the feeding station with all that movement. I have a bunch of critters here in my portable outreach boxes. I'll take out a few and we could take a peek at them. I did actually bring one of the baby snakes. We could take a look at that. Oh, Mantis God, welcome. Glad you're here. Yeah, YouTube can be really bad about the notifications for lives. Or really good, you never know. And yeah, they definitely have great appetites. That's one thing about dart frogs, they're little pigs. It's awesome. So pet time, I don't think it's weird at all. I actually love superworm beetles as pets. I think they're highly underrated. And mealworm beetles work well in the same way. They're just smaller, but they have a lot of the same attraction. They're active, they're out and about, they're easy to keep. If you keep them well, they do really well. Superworm beetles can last a couple of years. They can live a couple of years if they're well taken care of. I'm not sure about mealworm beetles, but it's probably a decent amount of time. Okay, Random T, that makes sense. I think I've heard the name Chinese money plant. I've just heard it with so many other plants that I was getting confused. Here is one of the little froggies. Froggies. I'm looking at the frogs. Here's one of the snakes up against the glass, though. Yeah, I love darkling beetles of all types, really, so I don't think it's weird at all that you like the mealworm beetles pet time or Random Tea. That looks kind of weird. We've got the dart frogs in the background. What am I talking about? And the snakes in the foreground. Snake in the foreground. I think I'm going to feed these snakes. This is one of the males. Feed the snakes right after, and feed my little black garters too, and probably the adults. Just feed them all. I like how these little snakes are pretty chill. They can be a little upset when you open the container or come at them from above because they don't like that, but once you pick them up, they're pretty chill. Okay, yeah, I'll be interested to hear how that goes, Kevin. Or any other garters, but it's just that Western terrestrials is one of the ones I've heard that they will sometimes constrict. I really haven't heard that about many others. But I would love it if you tell me how that goes. Okay, pet time. So if they can live a year, that's decent. That's a decent amount of time. Okay, I'm going to put this one away. What do we got here? We could take a look at this little lady. She's a beauty. The dart frogs in the background. Oh, arthropod ambassadors, that's awesome. I love that idea of doing like an unscripted sort of lifestyle video. So even if you can't do a live video, you can do that kind of a raw cut sort of video. That sounds cool. I want to check it out. If anyone has not subscribed to Arthropod Ambassadors, you should do it. Aaron's got some great stuff going on. Theropod hunter, desert darkling beetle carrying the male P. Coronotata, or is it Coronata? Yeah, it would be cool to do a live, but it sounds like with that range issue, it's hard to reconcile that. And awesome, thank you for subscribing to Arthropod Ambassadors, Warren. Here's my dead leaf mantis. Done a couple of successful molts with me so far. Arthropod Ambassadors has a great care sheet that she was kind enough to share with me. Here we go, we can see her a little bit better. I'm on glass now. Oh yeah, Arthropod Ambassadors, beforehand question form, like what be questions for next time. Yeah, I like to do that with Patreon, as some of you probably have noticed. Put the questions on there before. Today I was late. I usually get it in there earlier, so I don't think anybody actually posted because things were so crazy. I didn't post questions early enough. But I will try to do that more. Critters and more, building a paludarium for your garters. Awesome. So for your red-sided? Oh, did I say dead leaf? And yeah, this is Phylocrania paradoxa. Sorry, I said the wrong thing. I have been known to do that. I should have said ghost mantis, but thank you for... Sometimes I get confused with the common names, even when I know the scientific one, you know what I mean? It's like with money plant. Ah, yes. Prionoteca coronata. Okay, that makes sense. Yep, I got a little confused there, but there we go. It's a mantis that looks like dead leaves, and even though it's a ghost mantis. There we go. Got thrown off a little bit. I got to put this guy back in here, enclosure. Yeah, I was wondering, arthropod ambassadors, if she was close to molt, so I should cut out the food and do like you said, just let her do her thing, keep her quiet, and I will do that. So thank you. Here is Hadrurus arizonensis, the desert hairy scorpion. This one was a hit at the both presentations today. I don't know if I've ever shown this one on a stream or not. So I'd love to see that paludarium critters more sometime. That's what I want to do. At some point I want to do like a 120 gallon paludarium with like 30 gallons of water in it and just a lot of land area too. Here's a couple of juvenile mourning geckos. There's another one in here somewhere. There it is. That came with me to the presentation. I've always got plenty of juveniles around. Oh, Warren, you want to get some scorpions, but wife isn't on board. Well, I know how that can be because even though my wife is okay with scorpions, they're not her favorite thing, but she won't let me have tarantulas at all, even though I want to do that. So I get it. I know how it is, but I also respect, her wishes. She's pretty open-minded about most of the critters. Mantis Cicada, my husband got me a rolling wire rack for my birthday with grow lights. So I've been having fun week trying to get all my tanks situated. Moving on up. Awesome. I love those wire racks, and the rolling ones are the best. She got so many options. Okay, so Kevin said, do you use a water dish for your whip scorpion? I tried and there was a bit of an accident after mine molted. Extra snack for my dairy cows. Oh no! So, did it drown then? I do give mine a water dish, but it's a very small one. It's like a 2-ounce deli cup up against the side, and haven't had problems so far. And, well, Warren, that's good. There's hope if she's in love with isopods. I wouldn't say my wife is in love with isopods, but she thinks they're kind of cute, and she recognizes the merits of me keeping them. Let's put it that way. Well, sorry to hear about that, Kevin. That's sad. Oh, random tea, Asian forest scorpion. Yeah, I've got one of those as well. Here's one of our cresties. Got a couple of cresties. Oh, she's slipping just a tiny bit. Yeah, I think putting some like guppies or something, platies, in there, you could probably get them, if the tank part is big enough and has enough hiding places, you could probably get it so you're producing enough guppies to maintain the population and yet giving the garters time to hunt. The only trick is that garters really love fish, and if they get, oh, she slipped. She's all right though. If they slip, if they get hooked on fish, they may not eat anything else. So it's fun to deal with that, I guess. Water dish uses one of the small plastic feeding cups you get from Pangea. Okay. Oh, I hope I didn't actually ban someone. The gecko jumped on the screen and was messing around with the administrative controls of the live stream. So if I accidentally banned somebody, it wasn't me, it was a gecko. So, really smart power strip. This thing's the bee's knees brand Casa. So much easier to use than those weird timers. I'll have to check that out. Cool. Keeps jumping on the screen. I'm going to put her away. going to see if I can reach the enclosure with some of the other critters over here. Tailless whip scorpion right here. What else can we look at? I think this is, what is this one? Here's one of my Say's Harvestmen. Right here. Need to get it back in with its conspecifics pretty soon, but that was kind of a hit there. Most people hadn't seen anything just like it, so they thought that was interesting. We don't have, we have Harvestmen, but we just have the normal, I can't remember the species name, I think it starts with P. The normal introduced large European daddy longlegs species. We don't have Vanonis out here. So, to get banned by a gecko on your bucket list. These are so funky. I love how their last pair of legs is attached in a totally different way. Spooky boys, yeah, it works. And how they use their front pair of legs like antenniform legs, kind of cool. I do love the fact that they're at least sort of communal. I wouldn't call them true communal, but they will generally behave themselves if they have enough food. Should we take a peek at the tailless whip scorpion? She's right here, might as well, right? She's always pretty popular. There we go. I'm trying to focus on her. It's a little bit tricky. I feel like I need to be a little bit further away, maybe. This one was extraordinarily popular at the outreach today. Very popular at the last expo. We took her to as well. Her name is Myrtle, Myrtle. I had a great grandmother named Myrtle, and she's not named after her, but I don't think my grandmother would approve of that. Oh, theropod hunter, green link spider. Those are pretty cool looking. I gotta say, I've never had one, but they're a pretty cool looking spider for sure. Generally at an expo, I tell the viewers if they want to, they can touch the antenniform leg like there. And you can see the reaction to it, but you can't even feel it at all. I mean, it's like there's nothing there. So Kevin, oh, you got a Phrenius mexicanus. Cool. We have some pretty cool species here in the U.S. and close to the U.S. I'm not sure if Phrenius mexicanus ranges into the U.S. or not. There have been some reclassifications. I know we have Phrenius marginae maculatus in Florida, and then there's another couple that show up in places like Arizona and Texas, New Mexico, stuff like that. I've never seen one of the wild natives. I think that would be really cool. I know Peter at Bugs in Cyberspace and Sky Island Adventures has seen them in the wild in Arizona, but I have not. I think that's on my list next time I go out there. It's one of the things I would love to see. And put this little lady back. There you go. Here is one guy that was a big hit today. Our corn snake. He's a beauty. Hypomelanistic. People really loved him, and he's of course really relaxed around people and does well, so worked really, really well. Kevin, see if you can get Clint to go with you. He'd be beside himself out there. I think that would be awesome. That would be my idea of fun, is to go with Clint and Peter and Jesse, and just go have a ton of fun out in the desert looking for critters. I think it would be great. And I'm not necessarily saying I would exclude others. Others could definitely come too. But that would be a pretty cool combination. Pretty awesome combination, so I should talk to him about it sometime. See what he thinks. I think there'd be no question he would enjoy himself out there. The corn snake is now climbing onto my tripod. I'm booping the iPad, so we'll see how that goes. Oh! That was fun. Truer words have never been spoken, Warren. Clint's enthusiasm is contagious, and I love it. So fun to go hang out with him and his team. I actually need to contact him about our next collaboration soon. I really get a kick out of doing that. We have so much fun. And that's true, Forest of Emeralds. I think it's much better to let the snake boop you than to boop a snake. Snakes don't generally appreciate being booped, but they do like to boop. And I think that's the way it should be done. He's also weighing down the iPad on the tripod, which is making some strange effects for you. Hopefully none of you suffer from motion sickness. I'll try to compensate. Who wouldn't love a corn snake, right? One of the best snakes out there. And that episode with you and him got me hooked on isopods. Awesome, that's what I love to hear. A lot of people have said that. A lot of people have contacted me and said, oh, I learned about isopods. Sorry about the wiggliness. I'm trying to figure out where exactly this snake is going. Appears to be crawling down the tripod. Mantis Gut, I showed off one of the garters, little baby one. I have one here with me, a little baby. I haven't showed off the adult that I brought with me. I brought one of the males too. If I can detach this corn snake from the tripod shortly here, then I will do that. I'll show another one off. Do you mean the spooky garters? Do you mean the black ones? I could run to the other room and get one. Could do that. As a kid, my most wanted snake species was a milk snake there, and with good reason. They're gorgeous. There's so many gorgeous milk snakes. That's one I've had my eye on too. So Shiv, do you know if isopods are safe with Ficus pumila, creeping fig? I have Ficus pumila in this vivarium with the dart frogs, and isopods in here. Haven't had a problem, but I think it depends on the species of isopod. Armadillidium or Venezuelo, maybe not, but with Porcellio scaber, for example, with dwarf whites, you'd probably be fine. So how big do which guys get? Mantis Gut? Which ones are we talking about? Okay, I'm going to try to peel the corn snake off the thing right now. And then we'll... Oh, he's holding on. He's really excited about it. So sorry about the wiggling that's causing on the tripod a little bit. Oh, the black garters. Okay, got it. I can do that. And Shiv, you have a Corn King milk snake hybrid. Wow. Heard of hybridization occurring in those species, and my understanding is that most corn snakes these days, if not all, that aren't locality-specific corn snakes, all have a little bit of king snake blood in them. I've heard that. I'm not surprised about it, but I don't know if I've seen a hybrid of all three of those. Okay, well, we can do some black garters. And the black garters, they can get pretty big. I've heard of them getting, more than 50 inches, like 56 inches, I think, is the maximum, but that's well beyond the range of normal. They're usually quite a bit smaller. So maybe a female getting to about 3-ish feet. the black garters is about where you get it. I mean, my red-sideds are all a little big. The males are supposed to get, usually up to 20. They're both over 30, I think. My female is about 40 inches. She's just about to top 40 inches. So I will be right back with a black garter. Huh? Okay, I'm coming. Sorry for the temporary departure. Who stayed here during my brief departure stayed here. Oh wow, that sounds like quite a mix there, Shiv. Corn milk hybrid, and the other was a corn Mexican black king hybrid. Wow. So, Pet Time has 3 Chinese mantises, all L4. Awesome. So the scientific name for these black garters, this is an eastern garter. So this is Thamnophis sertalis, very closely related to the red-sided, both red-sideds, because they're both Thamnophis sertalis as well. So they're the same species, but the subspecies is different. So the California red-sideds are Thamnophis sertalis infernalis. And the red-sideds that I keep, like the Montana locality that I have, is Thamnophis sertalis parietalis. So this is just Thamnophis sertalis. And I'm blown away every time I look at these things. They are fantastic. I feel like when I talk about them, I just keep saying the same thing because my brain just gets stuck on this, oh wow. Can't stop looking at them, can't stop talking about them. I gave them, I offered some food on, I think it was Saturday. One of them ate like a pig. The others did not eat much, if at all. But I think that was just because, they're getting used to a new place. So today, they've been in their enclosure for a little while longer, and I hope they're going to be eating. I know they were eating before they left their original home, so I'm sure it just takes them a little while to get used to things. I might add some sliced bits of silver sides to their food so that they smell fishy, because they like that. And there's Pepe Rendo. Awesome. Better late than never. Happy to have you here. I do like that these little ones are also pretty chill. They haven't been particularly flighty or anything. They're just pretty calm. Hard to get into focus with that lovely matte black color. It seems to be a little bit hard for the camera to pick up on. So, mantis cod, I see what you're saying. With the size, if you get a male, it's not going to be very big. The males top out, maybe around 2 feet-ish. So and pretty thin. They're not a big, heavy snake for sure. So Kevin had a question about the maximum size. And I don't know if it's, I don't know what it is about this species and this subspecies. I think that was an exceptional individual that I was talking about. I'm gonna look it up and see if I can see what it says about that. Let's see what he says about that particular type of garter. Looking at the easterns. Let's see if I can pull something up on that. I can't find the information that I've been looking at before. So hopefully I didn't give you the wrong information. I just remember them being quite big. But I'll have to look that up and see where I was. But I remember it getting quite large. Lake Chapala garter snakes and the giant garter snake can get to 6 feet. I think Chapalas can get close to 6 feet. I'm not sure if they get to 6 feet, but they can get quite big. And the giant garter snake gets to about 6 feet. So bigger than Thamnophis sertalis. And burnt goblins. Okay, I can explain about the food here. What I do with these guys, I just mince the food. I have some herb scissors, which have, it's one handle of scissors, but it have 5 blades. And I just put the food in a little dish and chop it up with those scissors. Happens pretty fast. I chop up pinkies, I chop up silver sides fish, I chop up earthworms, put them in there in various mixes. Sometimes I give them just the pinkies, sometimes I give earthworm pinky mix, sometimes I mix in the fish, sometimes I don't. And it sounds like Kevin does the same thing. It works really well because not only does it make it possible for a tiny little snake like this to eat, but the garters can eat together a little bit more safely, because if they both grab, say, a piece of earthworm that's big enough for them to have to work on for a second, then one could grab one side and one could grab the other, and then they can accidentally, one will accidentally swallow another. So I think having it minced up that way, usually they'll grab a bite and then there's nothing hanging off as much. I mean, it can happen, but it doesn't happen as often, where there's nothing hanging off, and so they kind of swallow it and then go for another bite. And then you can keep a number of garters together and they can eat communally, and it's not as bad. I still have to be careful. I've had to pull very gently, separate baby garters where one is trying to swallow the other, but it happens a lot less often when that's going on, when you have something like that. So yeah, I would definitely say go with the herb scissors, just like Kevin says. Garter snakes can totally be Bartet. I'm not sure how to say your name, but hopefully that's right. Garter snakes can totally be a beginner snake. I wouldn't necessarily start out with this melanistic phase, not because it's any more difficult, but because it is more expensive than some of the others. So unless you want to go ahead and spend more on it. I would also say starting out with snakes this small, unless you have some experience, not necessarily the best way to go. You might want to start out with a little bit bigger snake. You might want to start out with a little bit bigger specimen, but yeah, there are garter snake varieties and morphs and species that are cheaper. You can get some garter snakes for about $50. This one was more than that, but they're getting a little more expensive now, and it might be 75, between 50 and 75 for like an easier, cheaper garter snake, like possibly just a normal of some of the things like a red-sided or an eastern or a plains. You could spend that much. If you're going into things like a California red-sided or an Oregon red-spotted or something, you're looking at several $100s. If you're looking at this, that's going to be the same. It's going to be a few $100s, that kind of thing. As far as care goes, though, the species is excellent. Friend of mine lives in a different state. He contacted me saying, our cat brought home a garter snake and they don't seem to have hurt it. The kids really want to keep it. What do I need to get to set it up? And I explained to him how to do it, and they got it set up, and then the cat brought another one and they put them together, and they had babies not too long afterwards, like the year or so after that. They had baby garters, and they were beginners, but they had successfully bred the snakes. It's pretty hard not to breed them if you keep a male and a female together, to be honest. So yeah, I guess I would say they're a beginner snake, but you might want to start with a cheaper, more for variety, and maybe try for one that has a little bit more growth on it, just to make it a little easier. So clognog's in the house, excellent. And what size enclosure for a single or a pack? Well, I do recommend keeping garters in groups of 2 or 3 because they do better in a group, but you can do them singly. They really appreciate the social interaction and tend to do better, to be honest. But if you're going to get one male, you could probably do 10 gallon. I'd probably go higher than that, maybe do a 20 gallon for one male, but you could also do 2 males in that same 20 gallon without any problem. But if you can get bigger than that, I would say go bigger. With females, you definitely want to go bigger because they're bigger snakes. I have 2 females right now in a 40 gallon. And then I've got a trio of males, 1 immature male and 2 mature males in basically what amounts to a 29. So they have some vertical space to climb in and stuff. So yeah, you want to give them some space. They'll take more space than that. What I want to do for all of mine is have custom built enclosures at some point where they're pretty big. I think a 40 gallon for a couple of females is totally fine, but I think they'll do better in a bigger enclosure. They'll use all the space you can give them. And Kevin, that also makes a difference too. Yes, a well-known breeder can often command more because they have, or request more money because they have they're better known and they have the demand. That's a good point. Mantis God, are mites always found on wild-caught snakes and lizards? Not always, but it's not uncommon for wild-caught reptiles to have parasites of various kinds, including mites. Oh, we're already to our time. I see Frank the Tank is here. Testing 1, 2, 3. You are here, Frank. I see you. I can see you. This is the first I've seen you in the stream, I think, but I can see you. I guess we are drawing close to the end of our stream. And so YouTube wasn't letting you type before, Frank, and you were here the whole time? Oh, big native tank full of different animals. I think that would be cool. I don't want this little snake to fall. That's sort of an untenable position there. I'm not sure that's going to work. But hey, Frank, glad that you can type now. I'm glad you're here. The gecko blocked you. Maybe. I wonder if the gecko, when it jumped on the screen, if it blocked you. But we can see you now, Frank, so you're back, which is awesome. All right, well, I appreciate everybody coming. I appreciate the super chat. And I hope you all have a great week. And I'll have a video for you on Friday. Hope to see you all soon. Have a great one.